Thank you for being with us here on Real Estate in the Lowcountry. With me now is Meg Herman. She is, of course, with Goosehead Insurance. And Meg, you know, before we started filming, you mentioned that during COVID, lots of people were renovating. And of course, now with inventory being as low, people are maybe buying a home that isn't exactly perfect to their specifications. And so they're thinking about renovating. And there's some things we need to think about if we're renovating when it comes to insurance.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. So a lot of times I just want to kind of put a big, like an asterisk, if we will, if you're thinking about buying a home and either renovating it right away or maybe down the road. I just really want to reiterate the importance of someone calling your insurance agent about the renovation project. Some of those renovations can be done, like there's the DIY projects that we're doing on a weekend, right. And it's probably not, a major uplift to the house.
Unless, of course, it goes horribly wrong. And
then we're bringing
then we might have a big problem.
So I like to tell people, if you have to move out of your house to have a home renovated, definitely need to talk to your insurance agent. There's really a special type of insurance that you need for that risk.
Okay.
If you're going to be changing square footage, moving walls, and really modifying the home, changing the roof line perhaps, those are all really biggies. That get into a major home renovation.
Right.
So when you do call your insurance agent about your renovation, it's important to know kind of the scope of the project. You need to understand who the contractor is, and most carriers will want to check that the contractor is in fact insured.
Right.
That's a big deal, and of course you would want to make sure of that too.
Of course.
Because you got that individual has to bear some responsibility for their professional work.
Right. And that holds true for any project, no matter the scope.
Absolutely, and subcontractors too.
Right.
Like, are they insured? So, there's a GC, and typically they're keeping those files on their subs, right? But some insurance companies will put a rider on a policy, a course of construction rider, we call it, and they're able to continue the same homeowner's insurance with this special rider on the policy while the home is under construction. Sometimes that's not available, and we'll actually use what we call a builder's risk form. But it is a special kind of insurance when your home is really being occupied by a builder.
Yeah,
not you.
Well, so let's talk about what are the dangers if somebody didn't call their insurer and they're doing all these renovations and something happens. I mean, like, a tarp falls off and then it gets rain, rain comes through the roof, or you move a wall and something else falls over. What happens if you haven't called your insurance company?
So if there is a claim that's to be made on the homeowner's policy during a course of construction project, if the insurance company didn't know about it, they could deny the claim.
Okay.
And that will turn out to be a major loss for you as the insured. So the last thing we want is to see some claim get denied. So it's always best to bring it up and work with your insurance agent to figure out exactly what you should have while you're having that project carry on. Significantly, the risk of insuring the home is different when you have this renovation going on.
Of course. And I think, as always, I've said before, you always bring up such good points because I'm not sure that people would really think about that. I think, I have homeowner's insurance. It's covered no matter what because it's my home. It's still my home. But not necessarily. Yeah,
there's, this is a great thing because we should talk about more of the times when you should call your insurance agent first.
Right.
But for sure, if you're going to do a renovation, give us a call.
Yeah. And so when somebody is thinking about how long before, what is the process of maybe putting one of those riders in place? How long before the project should we be having these conversations?
I always say 30 days is always a good time frame. But when you've got the scope, when you know what you're doing, you've got everything laid out with your contractor, get your insurance agent involved.
And so as often with projects, sometimes they don't go according to time frame.
That's a great point.
They may go longer than we think. So if it's coming to the end of maybe that rider, how do we say, oh, we need another couple weeks?
You really are good at insurance. You are good.
Who knew?
Well, if it is a rider on the policy, usually the rider can stay on the policy for as long as you need it.
Okay.
So that's kind of that works in a really easily modifiable model.
Okay.
If it's a builder's risk policy, those are typically written in 3, 6, 9, 12, 18-month terms.
Okay.
But if you get to the end of the term, you need to let your insurance agent know you've got to be having that conversation.
Yeah.
So you can get it extended if needed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you as always for the great information, and make sure if you are thinking about renovating renovating, you are calling your insurance company.